Okay, by a subscriber request, I'm doing a video on the NBA. I've decided to look at the NBA betting scandal of 2007, which has had some wide-reaching implications for the NBA ongoing. Uh, Reports surfaced in the summer of 2007 in the New York Post of an FBI investigation. It then was alleged that referee Tim Donaghy had been using knowledge gained as a referee to bet on matches since the 2005-2006 season, and that he had links to organised crime. Tim Donaghy ended up going to federal court. He ended up going to prison. He admitted his guilt in federal court. He actually admitted to the charges against him. Got an 18. He ended up being in prison for I think 18 months. After his release in 2009, he released a book, Personal Foul, a first-person account of the scandal that rocked the NBA, which he actually started writing in prison. The NBA tried to block the publication of that book. Basically, he did admit to betting on games. But in his book, he also alleges, and he's alleged this in interviews, and there's a documentary about now out about the betting scandal all those years ago, that the NBA officials, so people high up in the NBA, were pressurising referees to give favourable calls during the playoffs. And some of these allegations, I'm going to refer to two playoff series here. The allegations refer to playoffs between 2002 and 2005. The 2002 series that is alleged is the LA Lakers versus the Sacramento Kings. And the 2005 is the Houston Rockets versus the Dallas Mavericks series. Read into that what you will, but refereeing decisions in those series did actually affect the outcome of them. And that is open to conjecture whether referees were being told to give these decisions or face punishment from the NBA. Other things came out. There was a gambling culture within the referees' locker room and the NBA officials as well. There was a big gambling culture, mostly in casinos. And ironically, the locations where at the time casinos would be placed were not going to be in NBA cities. There's been a relaxation of gambling laws year on year in the US, but at the time, over a decade ago, you had Nevada has very relaxed gambling laws in Vegas, obviously, and Reno, two big gambling cities. Atlantic City in New Jersey, but it's not necessarily statewide. It comes down to very local level and local ordinance, so local state law. Now that gambling is fully legalised across the US, this would be less of an issue. But he did admit to the charges against him. But he also then, in his book, says there was a gambling syndicate within NBA officials dating back to 1998. That's 21 years ago. He also alleges there was a gambling culture within the NBA, within players, officials, team owners, and players and coaches. There was definitely a gambling culture, and the NBA tried to block the publication of his book. They went to court to try and block the publication. That attempt was thrown out, and the book is still readily available for purchase. You can still buy the book on Amazon. You can still buy the book down your local bookshop if one sells the book. And I would definitely recommend it. It's a damn good read. What's he got to gain? He's lost everything. He lost everything. His house, his job. He's got nothing to gain. Because if the book flops, the book flops. He has honestly nothing to gain out of this. The NBA, under David Stern, the commissioner, brought in a new code of conduct following the Tim Donaghy trial and allegations against him. It's a very interesting period of the NBA's history. I am going over it very briefly. In more detail, I would suggest people look at the LA Lakers Sacramento Kings playoff series of 2002 and the Houston Rockets Dallas Mavericks series of 2005 and watch every game and look at the refereeing decisions and the times those decisions take place. Because it does have an outcome of who wins that playoff series. It really does. I would definitely suggest people rewatch if you've got them, if you tape them, if you've got them on DVD. Rewatch those playoff series. If you can find them on the internet, I suggest people rewatch them. But these allegations of league officials pressurising referees to give favourable decisions is not isolated to the NBA. We've heard of these allegations in other sports and other leagues, that officials have been pressurised to give favourable decisions to certain teams or certain players to get a certain outcome. This is not a new allegation. Many sports, as I said, have had these allegations in the past, and they don't go away. Yes, he's a disgraced referee, and they also tried to use that against him in court to block the publication of his book, but I do suggest the book is read. I think opens up a can of worms that the NBA would rather we did not know about. The actual FBI investigation itself, no one's quite sure how the FBI were tipped off about Tim Donaghy, but it's believed to be with organised crime wiretaps under the RICO statute that Tim Donaghy was eventually found out. There's different allegations of how Tim Donaghy ended up in court and rumours, but it's believed to be with FBI investigations into organised crime that Tim Donaghy came up on wiretaps. There are organised crime figures, past and present, who have run racketeering and betting rackets to do with match fixing. Francesi is a prime example of the Colombo or Lucchese crime family. He's now a public speaker of the dangers of sports gambling and sports betting. He was indicted for match fixing charges, amongst other things. He used to run a match fixing racket of college sports. It does raise some questions about the integrity of referees. It does raise integrity questions of the NBA as a whole. And in 2007, when Donaghy was charged federally with gambling offences and match fixing offences and fraud, David Stern, the NBA commissioner, did bring in a new code of conduct, and they asked NBA officials to anonymously fill in questionnaires about gambling, and over 90% came back saying that they were gambling in casinos and other outlets that had slot machines or fruit machines. They were freely admitting that there was a gambling culture. So, was Tim Donaghy the only referee to make money off betting on games? Probably not. Was he he claims he was the scapegoat, and I have some sympathy with him. If you look at the information that is available, and if you read the book, and if you watch the documentaries, because there's been a couple of documentaries now produced on the NBA betting scandal of 2007, Tim Donaghy feels that he was thrown under the bus by the NBA and was used as a scapegoat for a lot of the NBA's failings, and that the NBA is trying to cover up the fact that it was pressurising match officials into giving favourable calls to certain teams, and that there must be match fixing involved. And it's, yes, him betting on games is one thing, but he alleges that the NBA were actually fixing games for favourable decisions for certain teams. They were favouring certain teams to go to the playoff finals and win. The Lakers, for example, are a prime example. David Stern, the commissioner, has come out that he would prefer to see a Lakers versus Lakers final. He's not hiding the fact that he's a Lakers fan. So there are allegations coming out, and there's more coming out the woodwork. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's further allegations to come out and further things to happen, even though we're 12 years down the line. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a brief look at the NBA betting scandal of 2007. There's a lot more to it than just one referee. But I do suggest people look at the LA Lakers, Sacramento Kings, and Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks playoff series, both in 2002 and 2005, and that they read the book, because you can always see what the NBA releases, but the fact the book is still on sale says to me that the NBA is basically admitting its guilt, because they did try and block the publication of the book, and that was thrown out of court. So the NBA is clearly on the defensive here, and I don't think the NBA is fully recovered from this scandal. I wouldn't be surprised if more comes out as time comes on and goes along. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your thoughts below on the NBA betting scandal, and if I know I've gone very briefly over it, there is more to it than just one referee. And more. There were more darker things that were coming out, including the favourable refereeing, pressurisation from the NBA, and the links to organised crime. Yes, there is more to it than just Tim Donaghy placing bets. He admitted in his book that he'd been gambling on NBA games since 1998. So there is more to it than we know, and there will be more to come up. But thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your comments below, and I will have some more videos for you soon.